Hey everybody, welcome back. Courtney from Dandelion Branding here. And this week we are going to be talking about metrics that matter and specifically about sales metrics. So these are going to be the best sales metrics for you to be tracking if you are just getting started or if you are feeling like you need to amp up your reporting and data analysis a little bit more. So this is what you should be tracking on a regular basis. And in terms of frequency of doing your reporting, we typically suggest doing reporting either weekly or monthly. And perhaps some of these metrics could even be moved to quarterly. And if you're just getting started with more regular reporting, monthly is definitely sufficient. It can be really easy to sort of get caught up in the everyday ebbs and flows of normal data. So we definitely suggest to not look at these figures on a daily basis in order to avoid unnecessary stress. You'll want to be looking in longer periods of time for more of those outlier pieces of information, those larger spikes in your data. That's definitely going to be more what you're going to want to look for rather than the normal ebbs and flows. And if you're looking at data every single day, it can definitely be overwhelming and it will actually be a bit detrimental to you in the long run. So definitely take it easy. We say start out with monthly reporting, and if you would like to do weekly, that's also totally fine. But monthly is a nice happy medium. And so I'm going to start this list sort of with the highest level of metrics and then sort of move down to the more specifics. So we'll jump right into it. Okay, so the first metric is growth. It might seem self-explanatory, but this is probably like the highest level of metric that you could really consider. Are you growing in general? Is your business larger in scale, in revenue, than it has been in previous periods of time? The second metric is also relatively general, profit and loss. Are you making money or are you losing money in general? This is going to be something that you look at probably on a, maybe monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. This metric will definitely give you a good idea if you are spending too much in certain areas. I think setting goals for P&L is great, but there's definitely always going to be ebbs and flows here. And just because you might be in the red at certain periods of time does not necessarily mean that your business is struggling in the grander scheme of things. I know a lot of businesses can sometimes go in the red right before Black Friday. Absolutely understandable. Maybe you're investing in more inventory, you're investing in more team members, more support. So there are definitely factors in some periods of time in which your P&L would not be a full scope metric for you to be looking at, but it is still, of course, absolutely important for you to be looking at on a regular basis. The third metric is customer acquisition cost. This is a great one because it can actually show you if the way that you are acquiring your customers right now is worth it to your business and is sustainable in the long term. And what this metric means, this metric may give you different results based on the customer acquisition initiative that you're looking at. But here's an example. Let's say that you're spending $300 a month on an ad and you see 10 customers that purchase something through that ad. That means that your customer acquisition cost for that ad specifically was $30 per customer. That's relatively high because that means that what you're selling them has to bring in more profit than $30 for you in order for you to be turning a profit for that customer. With that said, there are definitely some instances in which a company would be willing to invest a bit of money into acquiring their customer because they know that their customer retention rate is phenomenal. So maybe they are willing to spend a little bit more money up front to get that customer in the door because they know that they can really hold on to that relationship and ensure that that customer stays with them and places more than just one order. If a customer is placing several orders, then it's now worth it for you to have spent that $30 to acquire them and to get them into your brand. Okay. So the next metric is conversion rate. And we've actually done an entire video and article all about conversions and conversion rate. And this is one that's incredibly important to track because it's something that there's a lot of factors that go into conversion, and also every initiative will have its own conversion rate. So every new page that you may put out there, every ad, every social media post will all have a conversion rate of its own. And conversion rate, again, is the number of people who visited a particular site or experienced a certain element versus the number of people that actually took action on that page or with that element. Whatever goal you had for them in that process could be considered your conversion. The goal is the conversion. So your conversion rate is the total number of people that may have experienced that particular element, page, button, whatever it may be, versus the number of people that completed that ideal goal. And this is a percentage, right? So the next metric is ROI, or return on investment. And this, again, is similar to profit and loss. It's looking at, are you seeing enough return based on how much you've invested in that particular initiative? You'll see ROI a lot if you are doing anything with Facebook ads. It's definitely a really popular metric, but like profit and loss, there are a lot of other factors that can go into ROI, and there are a lot of organic initiatives that maybe don't cost anything for you, but certainly have a great deal of return. So you might need to average it out, some of those paid advertisements versus some of your more organic initiatives. But overall, ROI, I think, is a great way to sort of see if a particular initiative is going to be worth it for you in the long run. It can be a nice metric to look at if you're testing something, that's certainly for sure. Okay. So this next one is something that I personally really love looking at, and it's average order value. This is the average amount that all of your customers spend, just a straight average. And this is something to pay very close attention to, because if your average order value is significantly less than your customer acquisition cost, then you have a big problem on your hands. And there are a lot of ways in which the average order value can be increased upon. There's a lot of things that are worth testing that can increase the average order value, but you always want to ensure that your average order value is more than the cost of the products and shipping and everything that goes into producing that order for the customer, which is a lot. There can be a lot of factors that go into actually completing that order for the customer. And so looking at all of your costs and your average order value will be incredibly beneficial. Okay, the next one is also one of my favorites. Lifetime value of a customer. Okay, so lifetime value is actually a bit of a complicated metric, so I wanted to take a little bit of time to actually document all of the bits and pieces that are needed in order to calculate this metric. The first is average order value, which we've gone over. The second piece that you'll need for this formula is purchase frequency, and that can be over a year. The third piece is customer value, which is your average order value multiplied by that purchase frequency. And the last metric is customer average lifespan. And so I will show on screen now the formula for lifetime value. Lifetime value really gives you great insight on how your customers are experiencing your brand and your business in the long run. How much are they spending with you over the entire course of them being a customer, an active customer? An active customer means that they've probably placed an order within the last, let's say, 6 months. It might be, let's say, you can also say a year. If your average order value and LTV are around the same, that means that customers are not coming back and they are not returning to place a second order, and perhaps you need to focus more attention on customer retention initiatives. Ideally, LTV is double or triple that of average order value, because you definitely want customers to be placing more than one order with you. That's, keeping customers around is extremely beneficial. As we sort of mentioned earlier, customer acquisition costs can be pricey and they can really fluctuate, and it's far more affordable for you as a business to work to retain a customer that already placed an order than it is for you to go through all of that again and acquire new customers over and over again. When somebody's already placed an order with you, that means that you've already succeeded with them. You already were able to prove to them that your products were good or trustworthy, high quality, whatever it may be. If they had a good experience with your business, then they should absolutely want to come back and place a second order with you. And if they don't, then that's something to be looking into. How was your customer support? How did the package arrive? Maybe even reaching out to some of your customers and doing some interviews and things as to why they didn't place additional orders. Do so carefully, certainly, and be quite conscious of how you may word any questions that you might be asking, so it's not accusatory, but it can certainly be interesting to get some of that insight from previous customers and people who may have stopped ordering if they're open to discussing it with you. And on that same note, the next metric is repeat customer rate. So your repeat customer percentage is how many customers have come back and placed secondary orders or more orders with your brand. And so this is a metric that you will want to see increasing over time. You will want more repeat customers, sort of for the same reason that you would want your lifetime value to be increasing over time as well. You want to keep your customers around. You don't want to always be working to acquire new customers all the time to sustain your business. Of course, growing and working to acquire new customers is always a good thing, but relying on that solely and not focusing at all on retaining your current customers is definitely an indicator that something is out of balance. So the next metric is coupon code usage. How many orders are placed using coupon codes versus just full price? And is this sustainable long term? Looking at those coupon codes, looking at how much revenue was lost from your business based on those coupon codes. This metric doesn't show you everything because there are a lot of customers out there that place orders solely because they have a coupon code. So it can't be looked at purely on revenue lost, but it is an important factor to look at if there may have been certain coupon codes that perhaps just weren't worth it enough in the long run. And this concept actually ties in with our webinar that we have coming up in September. At the end of September, we're going to be talking a lot about why you don't need to send coupon codes with every email and how you can prove that your brand and your products have worth regardless of the need to discount them, and really creating a nice relationship with your customers. So it's called Mastering the Soft Sell. So check it out, September 30th. I can put a link in the description. So check that out. So the next metric is campaign performance. This is email campaigns. So this is going to be something that we talked a little bit about in the email metrics that matter video. So email campaign performance is definitely something you'll always want to be looking at if you're sending email marketing, and make notes as you go, as you're noticing things with your email campaigns, because it's going to be something that you're going to want to reference back in the future, and you might not always remember exactly what it was that was maybe different about that particular email campaign. The next metric is sales cycle length. So, and this is the length of time in between the orders of your customers. If you have products that are consumable, then this will be especially important for you. Look into how long in between your customers' orders, and this might be something that is worth looking into subscription programs for your business. If you're seeing a relatively regular sales cycle length, perhaps in every month, every 2 or 3 months, things like that. Adding the ability for your customers to subscribe to products could be absolutely beneficial if you are seeing that your customers are placing those regular orders. Okay, and the next metric is churn rate. And so this is where, within that sales cycle, where people are dropping off. And it is going to be beneficial to look at sort of in the long term. And it also might be worth segmenting your customers depending on when they first purchased with you. But kind of taking a look at when they first came along, maybe which promotions or campaigns or initiatives they came through, and seeing when they dropped off and when they stopped placing orders. This is a really important metric. Last but not least is some of your targets, and these are sort of like your goals. So these are the smallest little things that you should be tracking, and this is going to be different for everyone. You will want to be making regular goals and setting different targets for your brand. Having those is going to be something that will be really easy for you to be able to regularly see if you're hitting those goals or not. These can also be considered KPIs. Companies can use a lot of different terminology for it, but this is sort of the smallest level of metric that you should be tracking on a regular basis. Those were the 13 best metrics to be tracking for your sales. These metrics are so incredibly important. Please do not forget to be looking at this information on a regular basis. You won't regret it. It will absolutely help you to make better decisions for your company in the long run, and overall will help your business remain viable for a longer period of time. So we really hope that this was helpful. Hope that you enjoyed. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, throw us a like, maybe subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.